Hello to all my dear friends and family from me and my family here in New Zealand. First of all, I want to extend my deep appreciation and thanks to Rafik and Ashraf for giving me this beautiful opportunity to share my deep love and my fond memories of their mum. You know, guys, as cousins, I never thought that we'd be so separated at a time like this, when we'd have to say goodbye to one of our parents. It breaks my heart. Mum, I'm so sorry that I can't be there to hold your hand today and to walk this journey with you. So I just hope that my words will just float across the oceans and wrap you all up in my love. My beautiful aunt, Lainey. Many of you will know that we were never allowed to call her anything other than Lainey. I guess as the first of her nieces and nephews, the habit most likely started with me because I remember being told from a very young age, in fact not told, instructed from a very young age, that I was not to call her Auntie Elaine, because in her words that was for old people. And you know, even as she aged, she was consistently young at heart. She had this fiery and passionate personality that filled the room. Her larger-than-life presence is something that I don't think I actually need to describe to anybody who knew her. So even as she grew older and us as nieces and nephews grew older as well, the name stuck. She was Lainey. The name was something special, and I guess it captured the relationship that we all had with her. You know, most young girls like the idea of growing up with a loving older woman, a significant older woman in their lives, like a special auntie. I guess a cool auntie, you know, that naughty aunt, that one who is more like a friend than a parent, but could also very quickly flip over to parent mode if she had to. Well, Lainey was that person for me. I have adored her for as long as I can remember. In fact, I've been told that she also had a very special affection for me from a very young age. My mum's told me quite often about how she loved buying me cute little outfits when I was little. You know, that actually continued all the way through into my adulthood. She was still providing me with outfits because I was the only one that was her size. Not so much anymore, I guess. There was a time when I was at high school, actually, that we were off on a school trip and we were allowed to wear our own clothes. I was heartbroken because my dad was quite strict and he wouldn't allow me to wear jeans. And so I was upset because I wasn't going to be in with the cool crowd. Fortunately for me, Lainey lived 2 minutes down the road from my school. So when I got off the school bus, I went straight down to her house and poured my little heart out about being so upset and so disappointed in what Dad was putting me through. And along with a few real choice words for my dad that came streaming out of her mouth, I very quickly ended up with a super cool pair of jeans and a great outfit to wear for the day. And you know, there were so many times like that where I could go to Lainey in situations where I needed help, and she was always there for me. In fact, I feel quite privileged, more blessed, I suppose. I feel blessed to have had that in Lainey because she treated me like I was her very own daughter. But the relationship was different because she was my auntie and yet also my friend. All through my life, she had so much time for me and made me never doubt her love for me. Often growing up, she would be the person I went to for advice. She was just, you know, so accepting and so open and so relaxed. And I loved my relationship with her. She wasn't just my auntie, she was my friend. And I loved growing up having this cool aunt, and I often boasted about it to my friends and, you know, showed off a little bit about her singing prowess. And she was just this amazing, awesome aunt, and someone that I had always that was in my corner. In fact, just recently, on hearing of her passing, many of my childhood friends shared with me their memories of her. I also remember she would call us Fairy Girl. As soon as we walked into the door, she will say, "How's it, Fairy Girl?" And for me, I was always Audrey Ann, sometimes even Audie Ann. I have too many memories of her to be able to share them all, but Lainey was a huge part of my life through all the phases of my life. In fact, my very first plane trip was to visit her in Cape Town when she lived there. So off I went with my little brother Quentin and my cousin Rowan, and three of us flew to Cape Town and spent the summer holidays with her. It was a time where I was able to connect with my uncle and to get to know my cousins Rafik and Ashraf, and this was a beginning of a very special bond between us as cousins. It was great when they returned to live in Durban, and I knew that I could spend as much time as I could with all of them, and I certainly did. I could sit and listen to her stories for hours. You know, boy, did she have stories. She somehow knew everything about our family history, and she loved to share it. She'd share it in such an engaging and funny way. I loved listening to her and my mum talking about their upbringing and their childhood and the things that had happened over the years in our family. And we'd laugh and laugh and laugh. As time went on, this included my husband, Rene, who Lainey welcomed into our family with so much warmth. We continued to visit her regularly as the years rolled by and as she moved from place to place in Durban. And then when my son Dylan was born, she doted on him so much. You'd swear she was his grandmother. And the last thing she said to me, in fact, just last week, was how proud she was of my children. And you know, I loved her for that. I loved that even though she hadn't seen my children in so many years because of us being so far away, she still loved them because she loved me. She was still proud of them because she was proud of me. She had this amazing presence and this fabulous character, and yes, she was a challenge at times. She'd tell you exactly when and where to get off, and she would do it in the most expressive language possible. Man, she was funny, and she had the loudest, biggest, heartiest laugh, and when she loved you, she showed it. I was and always have been enamored of Lainey, so in awe of her strength, of her assertiveness, her perseverance and her courage to be a woman raising two boys all alone. I admired her so much for her passion for education, and when I did my own studies, she was one of my favorite cheerleaders. She was an inspiration to me. You know, I've never seen my auntie timid or shy. I've seen her loving, I've seen her charitable, I've seen her caring, I've seen her angry, but never timid and never shy. I saw her as this amazing woman who has overcome so much in her life. She was so strong, and in that strength, she inspired us all to push forward and achieve our goals. Let's be honest, Lainey was by no means perfect, sometimes frustrating, but even in her imperfection, she was endearing, and she was one in a million. They broke the mold when they made her. It's so hard to get used to the idea that she's gone from this world now. It's so hard not to be there, to be able to say goodbye to her in person. And I find myself regretting the time wasted and the time lost over the years of not being able to see her. I will still go forward with the knowledge that she loved me. And I encourage Rafik and Ashraf, Share your mum, share her vibrancy, share her love, share her passions with your children, because we are all so, so blessed to have known her, to have loved her, and to have been so fiercely loved by her. God bless. I love you all. And as they say in New Zealand, ka kite anō.